Maybe next time. I would love to do that. It'd be fun. Yeah.
I got sticky notes. I'm all ready for you.
Are you ready?
I think it's by the ladies' room.
Are you ready?
Okay, we're now live. We're now live on YouTube.
Things over a little bit. I hope you don't mind.
We are now live on YouTube, so please watch the hot microphones.
I'm gonna record.
And once she hits record, I'm going to start the meeting. I want to respect Gilroy and Morgan Hill.
Thank you. So. Oh, what is this? Okay, we are recording.
Welcome everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order. This is Cities Association of Santa Clara County, the board meeting at 7:01 p.m., February 12th, 2026. Good evening, and we'll start with roll call. Shally, can we have roll call, please?
Yes.
The awesome thing is there is no one online. So our votes will go faster after this roll call.
Ann Bybee or Dan Furtado,
Here.
Liang Chow,
Here.
Kelly Ramirez,
Here.
Sally Meadows,
Here.
Rajiv Bateja,
Here.
Rob Moore,
Here.
Carmen Montano,
Here.
Ken Torrent,
Here.
Mark Turner,
Here.
Ellen Kamei,
Here.
Vicky Vinker,
Here.
Rosemary Kamai, or
She-
Pamela Campos.
Rosemary's on her way. She got delayed at an event. A meeting, sorry.
Kelly Cox.
Here.
Tina Walia,
Here.
Larry Klein, or Linda Sell.
Here.
With 14 present, we have quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. Let's start with oral communications on non-agendized items. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on items that are not on tonight's agenda. Shally, do we have anyone in the room or online who wishes to speak on a non-agendized item?
No one online has their hand up and no one in the room.
Okay, with that, let's get started with the agenda. I have one request. I have been informed that some of us tend to speak very softly, and sometimes people are unable to hear the very substantive comments from the others, especially our folks who take the time out to hear us, who are sitting in the back, the alternate board members and everyone. Thank you so much for being here. So you'll see me speaking a little louder, and I would request the same of you, if possible. Let's start with the consent agenda. That is item number 1. This is to approve the minutes from Board of Directors meeting on January 22nd, 2026. Is any board member wishing to pull the item from consent or make a comment? Seeing none, any public comment online or in the room?
No one online.
Okay, don't see anyone in the room. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Turner, second.
Second.
Second by Ellen Kamai. And
Okay.
I'd like to call the voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? And Rosemary, we are approving the meeting minutes.
Yes.
She walked in. Is your vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. So approved unanimously, all 15 present. Correct, Shally?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. The second item is the president's update, and I have a couple of things to share with you. Super excited. We are gearing up for the year, and I'm identifying and lining up guest speakers with an eye toward planning to align them with the priorities discussed by the board last month, which we will finalize tonight. I also want to share with you that I have signed, per our legal counsel's permission, the extension for, won't sign anything without her permission. So I've signed the extension to REAP 2 so that the deadline has been moved from January to end of June of this year. This gives all of our cities additional time to work with the Community Planning Collaborative. Please share this update with your community development departments. We have an extra 6 months to get their support. And thirdly, last but not the least, super excited to share with you that we are finally moving forward with the website update process with Tripepi Smith. You may recall that the board approved this a few months ago, and we have negotiated the contract within the authority provided by the board. Again, our legal counsel has been helping us to fine-tune things to minimize the surprises. And we are scheduled to begin our meeting next week. And super excited, and we will continue to provide regular updates. Any comments, questions, or we can move on to the next item? I promised you 9 o'clock.
Let's go.
Okay, super. Item number 3, the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking. There is a presentation. Our guest speaker is Sharon Danoa. Sharon leads collaboration. She is the director of that group, and she leads collaboration among more than 35 agencies, and for over a decade has facilitated No Traffic Ahead, a Bay Area initiative uniting 8 counties to combat human trafficking through collective impact. She began her career in crime research and emergency psychiatric services, and her work in India included supporting survivors of trafficking through economic empowerment. Sharon holds degrees from the London School of Economics and Santa Clara University School of Law, and has received multiple honors for her leadership and advocacy, including Santa Clara County's Unsung Hero Award. Sharon, I have a question for you that comes to mind. Whether human trafficking is a concern only during big sporting events or all year around. You don't have to answer this now, but you were not here at our Legislative Action Committee meeting earlier this evening, and Assemblymember Patrick Ahrens was also talking about that. So I could share with him that you will be presenting and talking about this issue that we are all concerned about.
Perfect.
With that, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm going to answer your question in 10 minutes. So basically, that's what I'm here to speak about, human trafficking, sporting events. I direct our coalition. I've worked in the field of anti-trafficking for over 15 years, starting in India, in Calcutta, and then I made my way over here in law school and continued my work here. And then prior to that, criminal research. So we just finished the Super Bowl. I can talk a little bit about that when we finish, but we have March Madness coming up, and we have FIFA World Cup, which is going to kind of be unprecedented in terms of our response and maintaining a safe environment for these games. A little bit about our coalition. We're a staff of 2, and we work with about 30 member agencies in Santa Clara County. For the purpose of these large events, we created a larger regional work group. We called it No Traffic Ahead because otherwise San Francisco wouldn't show up. You need to create something new that doesn't say South Bay. With No Traffic Ahead, we ended up amassing 68 agencies from 9 counties over the course of 2 years. And it was very successful in terms of collective impact, making sure that we can scale out efforts. So this time around, we're looking to do the same thing. It's a different environment in a lot of ways, but I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Just baseline, the question that you asked earlier, Tina, about is there a correlation with sporting events and human trafficking? Our baseline messaging is that sporting events do not cause trafficking, but economics drives exploitation. So what do we expect with all of these sporting events? We expect to see an increase of demand across industries. You know, hospitality will have to increase their staffing. We know there may be increase in construction, and there may be increases across illicit industries. So that would include things like sex trafficking or the sex trade. But what does research actually tell us? Research, if we look and see, research tends to focus on sex trafficking and the sex trade. We do know for sure that online advertisements selling sex have a steep increase. So there's a huge uptick before these large sporting events. What does that tell us? That tells us that individuals who are being sold or selling sex perceive an increased demand. The hard part is distinguishing which one of these advertisements relates to sex trafficking, which individuals are being coerced or exploited, and which individuals are engaging of their own free will, with the exception of minors. Minors cannot consent to sex. They cannot consent to being sold for sex. What does that mean? It means a lot of our law enforcement agencies, when they're looking at online ads, they tend to focus on identifying minors who are being exploited. One of our concerns that we've seen, and I can give more background on this if it is of interest, but we did case studies of previous sporting event cities, including Super Bowl cities. And there have been issues of unintended consequences related to arrests. So unfortunately, there's a dichotomy with the sex trade, where if a person doesn't identify as a trafficking survivor, they're then engaging in the crime of prostitution. So jurisdictionally, it really depends on your law enforcement agency, how they want to deal with that. We're really lucky in Santa Clara County. Our human trafficking protocol is very survivor-centered, and it prioritizes creating pathways for anybody out of the sex trade and kind of acknowledges that there's a little bit of that gray area. So the hope is that for these events, and we saw it with the Super Bowl, there was a really good regional command center. Our task force was the lead for that command center. They really prioritize identification of survivors. The other thing is that there's very little research on labor trafficking, with the exception of what happened in Qatar in 2022. The 2022 World Cup put on an international stage labor trafficking because there were 2 individuals who died in association with labor trafficking. They were part of construction for the stadium, and it exposed a lot of labor trafficking that was built into that entire system of the World Cup. Because of that, FIFA has now turned around and required all host cities to submit a human rights strategy and commit to a human rights strategy for the games. Does FIFA have a human rights strategy? You can put that over here. You can look into that yourself. But we have put into our bid application to have a human rights strategy. So while our coalition, we focus on human trafficking is certainly a human rights violation. It intersects with a lot of other human rights violations. So here's just a brief overview of different human rights that we were trying to look at and seeing how can we address and include a strategy for these events. With the goal in mind that for the Super Bowl and March Madness, we would have a consistent approach for all 3 events. So what do we expect with these games? We know that there's going to be an increase of attention specifically to the issue of human trafficking. We've already seen that. There have been a lot of media reports, some not so good. The article in Mercury was not so good. KQED tried to cover the issue. They were a little bit more intentional. So we know that messaging is one of our core initiatives, making sure that we have very accurate messaging. The second is we have potential for new partnerships. Typically for our coalition, human trafficking does happen every single day, but it's very hard to engage with the business community on an everyday basis. Right now, we're finding that hospitality and transit agencies are extremely receptive to learning more specifically about human trafficking, because they know they have a lot to benefit and they don't want anything to kind of interfere with their ability to profit from these events and create a safe environment for people coming here. Another interesting kind of trend you would see with specifically related to trafficking is there are nonprofit organizations that their entire model is to follow around sporting events for the purpose of raising awareness on human trafficking. It was very problematic in 2016 because they tend to be very sensational. Some of the agencies are still fairly problematic this time around, but we're trying to proactively work with those groups. We had really 2 successful outreach events with 2 of the traveling organizations, one focused on outreach to convenience stores. With that outreach event, we were actually handing out booklets that included pictures of missing children through NCMEC. And I can say that first day of outreach, there was a clerk who recognized a missing boy in the pictures. And so you can see how powerful that kind of outreach is. And that's what we're trying to maximize. We're trying to see how much can we really build off of the momentum that's in our community. We know there'll be a lot of people here coming to our area. And then the last piece is that law enforcement, they really ramp up operations to identify trafficking survivors and to identify traffickers in the lead up to these events. So for the Super Bowl, our law enforcement task force, they put together a command center. I believe they had 11 jurisdictions represented. They were very busy for 2 weeks. What that also means is that we need to make sure that our service providers are also equipped for that ramp up. We want to provide in-person response so that if a survivor is identified, you connect them to a confidential advocate very quickly. We need to make sure that they have housing. You can imagine that for these coming games, a lot of housing is limited. You're going to hear more about housing options shortly. But we also know that hotels are going to be booked from Marin and Napa down to Monterey and Santa Cruz for the World Cup. So we're really trying to strategize how can we ensure that we have sufficient capacity for operations that are happening for World Cup and March Madness. So that's the in-person response I mentioned. billboards, we're going to have a campaign and I'll show you some images shortly. I mentioned hospitality industry. Supply chains is something that you may want to consider. There are ordinances. We do have a supply chain ordinance in California, but it's a very high threshold. And we have an opportunity now to ensure that any procurement or supply chain issues, which is what happened in Qatar, have fair wages built into that and prevent any kind of exploitation. If you're familiar with the case of Silvery Towers in San Jose, that was commonly known as Slavery Towers. And again, we worked on that case. It was a multi-county case. And those individuals were predominantly adult males, foreign nationals from Mexico, but also Central America. And they were being kept in a warehouse. They were locked in at night and they were being fed rice and beans. So it's about as egregious as you can think, but they were working on a very high-end apartment complex. So the other two specific trends I wanted to call out and that we're trying to raise awareness to are the gig economy and vendors. Gig economy, normally we think of Uber or Lyft drivers as being potential. They can identify passengers who are being trafficked, and that is very valid. But we're also seeing the drivers who are being exploited for their labor. And it's kind of akin to debt bondage type of situation where somebody's purchasing the car for them, they're building debt. Now they need to pay it off. Similarly with vendors, one of our first cases in Santa Clara County that was federal was actually fruit vendors. And it's a similar model there. But what do we expect with sporting events? We know the hot dog vendors are out there, fruit, ice cream vendors. Most cities take an approach that's a purely ordinance approach of pushing out vendors. So we're trying to see are there opportunities to actually provide information and resources to these individuals in case they're being exploited. Missing youth, I mentioned in terms of the convenience store outreach, and you can see the tent cards here we've developed for hotels. They include a QR code that takes you to NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it gives you a greater radius of all the missing youth that we have in the greater Bay Area region. So that's something that we're trying to distribute to hotels and other businesses, actually. And then our big initiative is Safety for the Bay. So you can look this up on your phone. We launched it just a few weeks ago. Right now it's only in English, but our next move is to translate into 5 other languages at least. And it's essentially, this is our human rights approach because it's for any way that someone feels unsafe. It's a navigator. It's a community resource navigator for the greater Bay Area region. So you can see we have 16 safety violations that we've identified. So of course, human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault are up there, but also consider things like substance use, housing support. And for these gangs, you can imagine there might be instances of state violence. So if there are protests and somebody witnesses or is a victim to some kind of government agency violence, we want to be able to provide them the information so they know how to either get support or report that incident. And who do they go to for that? So each of the pages provides a bit of an overview. Sexual assault will give you an overview of what that safety violation is, what somebody might be experiencing. And here's where it really is kind of the most important piece, is we're providing resources for the greater Bay Area region. We know that there are going to be tourists who are staying in Marin County and coming down to Santa Clara, which is crazy. That's quite a drive. But we know that they are already booked up. Airbnb is booked up in Marin County. So if something happens along the way, how do they get the help that they need? So we're trying to really consolidate all of that information so it's really easy. The other piece to these pages is it provides you an overview of what your rights are. We know in California, we have really specific, strong rights for survivors of sexual assault, human trafficking, domestic violence, but we have that kind of across the safety violations. There is also a page on the site to report to law enforcement. And we know that visitors who are coming from other countries may not know the difference between state or federal. So you'll see on the report page, it'll highlight the 5 core local jurisdictions, San Jose, the Santa Clara County Sheriff, also Oakland PD and San Francisco PD. If you will look on the actual site, you'll see. But you'll find all the police departments because, again, we're just trying to route people to the way that they feel most comfortable to get help or to report. So this is the main way that we're getting information out. It's through our poster campaign. These are the 4 images that actually ran in 2016. And I usually do Q&A. What's the main theme here? There's no faces. We did that very purposefully because we did not want to lock in any demographic type of, preconceived notions of who a trafficking victim is. We also, coming back to what you were asking, Tina, all of these objects relate to our everyday life. So we were very purposeful, again, to create messaging that relates to trafficking we see every day. And this time around, we added 4 more images. You can see they relate to some of the trends that we mentioned and cases that we actually see. One of the questions we sometimes get is why even put out these messaging, this kind of messaging if you don't want people to think it's associated with a sporting event. And the reason is because if we don't fill the space, somebody else will. I mentioned those traveling organizations. They put out, I'm almost done. So this is kind of our main objective is, again, with Safety for the Bay, because it consolidates all the safety violations into one place. It means that all we need is a QR code that can get people the help that they need, whether it's domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking. And so this is a mirror cling that we've developed. It's in 6 languages. We're putting those up in bathrooms. So this was distributed to convenience stores so they can put it up in the bathroom. We're also doing stickers in case people want to put those in bathroom stalls or if they want to do the posters. But we've vetted a lot of our outreach and our materials by survivors and clients. So they also told us where to put these stickers. They told us laundromats are really good. We'll be developing a kind of toolkit for outreach to bars and clubs because we want to make sure they have a lot of tools related to sexual assault or domestic violence. Fast food, 24-hour eateries. So really that's what our ask is from the local cities is, do you have spaces that you would want this kind of information displayed? Public bathrooms, you can imagine parks, and other places that you might think might be useful. Libraries are really good for displaying this kind of information. Some cities actually do have billboards as well. So yes, I will pause there and see if there are questions.
Okay, we have 2 or 3 minutes for a few questions, 2 or 3 questions. Let's keep it short. And certainly Shally can connect you with Sharon here for any follow-up needed. Important topic, very much so. Thank you for your presentation, but we also have a full agenda. So questions?
Well, not aware of that. Okay.
Okay, Carmen, please.
Thank you. So you mentioned that law enforcement, they look at ads. Can you give an example of what they look for? Is it?
That's a really technical question. So it really depends on ads, but the language and the icons that are used are always kind of evolving, but there are certain items that you'll see in a sex ad that might indicate that somebody is young. And again, you'd really want to get a training from law enforcement, but it evolves. It's always changing. So they're the ones who are keeping up on what are the trends to know, is this a minor? Is this, young, I'm not going to use any of the language, but yeah, I don't know if that's helpful.
So our law enforcement, they know already what to look for.
That's a big question. Well, all law enforcement, no. Trained human trafficking officers should. So our task force does. But when we start going out to the jurisdictions, I wouldn't assume, because not every city has actually provided a person to be part of the human trafficking task force. So that might be something to look into.
And so I noticed you had hotels, but you didn't have motels.
Oh, no reason. We're looking at motels and hotels.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm back.
I'll go to public later, please.
Oh, I see.
Any other question here? Seeing none?
Vicky.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks. So my understanding is that during the recent Super Bowl that there actually were some successful operations that thwarted some. And I thought if you wanted to share just a little bit about that, it would encourage us that this really does matter and it's impactful.
Well, I can tell you one of the big cases that kind of came up. One is just having 11 jurisdictions working together is pretty significant. They saw a lot of activity in counties that we don't normally think about, like Solano County. Alameda's infrastructure is rebuilding. But there was a minor who was from Oregon who had been identified in multiple jurisdictions, and nobody was able to kind of connect her to services. But on the last night, kind of the task force was able to get her on a plane back home. And they were able to connect her to a social worker there. And, she talked to advocates while she was here. Her trafficker was especially violent, I understand. And so it was this jurisdictional issues were there, high level safety concerns as well. But because they were all together, they have analysts who were in the command center as well. So it's just kind of, it was like the best scenario. We had a report back today from the lieutenant, and he was saying, if we could do this every day, it'd be incredible.
Well, thank you for doing it. I really appreciate it.
Mayor Buttigieg.
I just want to say thank you so much for your work. It's
really important.
Thank you. That will go to the public. Brian, sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. As I was listening to it, I was like, okay, where's the ask? And I only heard one ask at the very end. Are there other asks?
Always, but I was trying to be polite. I mean, so, I mean, this has all been crowdsourced funding. So, the way I was trying to pull it together is services are our most crucial need across the board. This is considered prevention outreach. So jurisdictions are able to contribute 1,000 for smaller jurisdictions or 5,000.
Sure. I think we had this conversation earlier that you cannot ask for funding.
See, that's what I thought. Okay.
You knew that
Oh,
you were informed. It's not the place, but please work with the cities.
I see. Okay.
Please work with the cities. And Brian Makachek, former mayor, current council member
So
from
it's not-
Montessorino.
That's just telling you.
Yeah,
how-
no, I'm just sharing with you. You can reach out.
It's fine.
He's a council member from Montessorino, Brian Makachek. You can write down his name and you can reach out to him or after once we move on to the next item. I apologize. I have to,
That's okay.
I'm sitting next to our legal counsel here. I have to be very careful. I deeply appreciate the great work you're doing. This is very critical. Anyone else in the public? With that, we close public comment and come back here. Thank you so much for making the time. And if there's anything you want to send, please send. Yeah, please send to Shally and Shally can send it across to the board and that way people can follow up. You'll have her Sharon's contact information. Thank you
I
so
have
much.
Materials if people want any of these cards right at the back.
Thank you. You can leave them here or here. Where is this?
Well, there's a lot,
Okay,
so
that's-
I'll just
okay.
leave some.
Okay, yeah, a few. That'll be great. Thank you so much. Thank you for making the time. With that, we move on to item number 4, which is Santa Clara County 5-year community plan to end homelessness. We have 2 guest speakers, KJ Kaminsky, Director, and Hillary Armstrong, Deputy Director of the Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing. The Office of Supportive Housing operates and funds programs serving unhoused residents from outreach and emergency shelter to permanent supportive housing. And the office is responsible for implementing the 2016 Measure A Affordable Housing Bond. I actually recently reviewed their point-in-time report from January of 2025, and the findings were very sobering. I'm from the city of Saratoga. I was surprised. The director here and deputy director are going to provide us an overview this evening of the next 5-year community plan to end homelessness. KJ Kaminsky, thank you for coming here. She has over 15 years of experience in affordable housing and homelessness services, including the past 10 years at the county. Before that, she led the grants team for the city of San Jose's housing department. She holds a Master of Public Administration from the University of Illinois, Chicago. Good school to go to. I happen to be from the same university, different location. Hillary Armstrong, the Deputy Director, oversees the homelessness prevention, continuum of care, and housing and community development teams. She has also served in the county executive's office and has 15 years of experience as a legal services attorney. She holds a BA in history from Santa Clara University and a JD from UC Berkeley School of Law. Am I mistaken? I thought both of you were going to be here.
And I apologize, and
No
so
worries.
Hillary sends her regrets, she's under the weather and wasn't able to join, but hopefully she can join for a future conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank
Go ahead.
you. Thank you so much for making the time for us this evening. I'm gonna share a brief update on our community plan to end homelessness. And first, I just want to say, I'm KJ, I'm the director for the county's Office of Supportive Housing. I'm here in our role as the continuum of care lead. So one of our roles at the Office of Supportive Housing is to work with cities, nonprofit partners, advocates, our entire community to move forward our regional strategies around ending homelessness. This is, while I work for the county, I'm here as a representative of our COC, which is really a broad coalition of partners, as I'll speak to a little bit with the community plan. Next slide, please. First, I want to note that we have made tremendous progress since the last community plan. And I believe I probably saw many of you on a road show back in 2020 when we were bringing the community plan to cities across the county. I think at that time, 11 cities endorsed the community plan. And we have made tremendous progress together. Just a couple of highlights on this slide, and we do a semi-annual report that will have more digestible graphics than this one, but I wanted to get you the most up-to-date numbers. Collectively, we've housed over 20,000 people since 2020. So that 20,000 people have moved from homelessness into permanent housing since 2020. We also set a goal at that time to decrease the inflow into homelessness, knowing that we continually house people, but we also have a huge number of people who are being pushed into homelessness for the first time. We've decreased that inflow by 18%. And we also set a goal to double temporary housing capacity. We didn't quite double it, but we did increase temporary housing capacity across the county by 82%. And that's from almost 1,900 units to over 3,400 units today. That represents over 4,000 beds of shelter. And that much of that work was done with cities, by cities, in partnership with cities, and truly grateful for that collaborative effort. And then lastly, we set a goal in 2020 to increase the capacity of our homelessness prevention system. This is helping people stay housed who are at risk of homelessness. To serve 2,500 households a year. We've exceeded that goal. Last year, we served over 2,600, almost 2,700 new households last year. Next slide, please. So as the plan was a 5-year plan, we are now in the process of updating our collective strategic plan. It's over a year long process. And that's to allow for robust data gathering, working with our partners, working with people with lived experience of homelessness, really assessing what is going well, what goals have we achieved, and where do we still have gaps. We have been working with doing data collection with focus groups that are by geographic area and subpopulation. We have a lived experience advisory group. We have been convening a cities working group with city staff. We have been convening and working with regional working groups. So we have a North County, South County, San Jose, and West Valley working groups to collectively come together and develop our strategies for the next plan. We're at the point now where we are working with our steering committee to finalize the draft, which will be published in March. Why I'm coming to you today to give you a heads up that is going to be coming out. We've offered study sessions with city councils for those who are interested, briefings, really working with the staff at each city to understand what will work best to get the information out to your community, to the elected officials, to your partners in the community, and really tailor that approach to each jurisdiction. The goal is to finalize the plan by mid-2026 and to bring it out for endorsement to the board, city councils, our partners, and really anyone who is interested in being part of this collective effort. Next slide, please. I just wanted to give you a preview of the key focus areas. Last community plan, we had 3 primary strategies to address the root causes and prevent homelessness was the first area of work. Second was to increase the capacity of our supportive housing system. And third was to improve the quality of life for those who are unsheltered in our community. The steering committee is going in a similar direction, understanding that we still have work to do on the prevention side and reducing the number of people who experience homelessness for the first time. That means building our prevention system, as well as developing affordable housing. We also have The second area of focus is around increasing the capacity and improving the services across our housing continuum. Third, to improve access and support to people who are unsheltered today. And then our fourth key focus areas, we've really been working closely with folks with current or previous experience of homelessness to make sure that as we improve services, increase capacity, develop housing, that it is meeting the needs of people, of the people that we're serving, and that we're sharing power and lifting their voices in that process. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, a lot of information on this slide, but as I mentioned, there's the timeline that we're in now is sort of the March to May period where we're finalizing the draft plan. We are also working with all of the cities and towns in the county to develop regional plans that align with the larger community plan, and I'll get to that, a little more detail on that in the next slide. And I wanted to note that just process-wise, after we have published the draft plan, gotten the feedback, and finalize it, the COC board, the Continuum of Care board, is the body that adopts the plan. We also ask our lived experience advisory board to adopt the plan, and then we take it to elected bodies for endorsement. Last slide, please. So what we're looking at, I mentioned the regional plans. We're probably call these sub-regional plans since the county is a region, but really looking at North County, South County, West Valley, San Jose, to really understanding that the needs are unique in each region, but that homelessness crosses city borders and that often you're already working as a region. So we're working with each regional group to develop a regional plan that includes the characteristics of that region, priority populations, summarizes your existing efforts. Many cities have plans. We want to also highlight that the work is aligned with the local jurisdiction work, and establish a framework of shared goals, strategies, and priorities for each sub-region. So I know my time is limited, but again, just want to say thank you for making time today. This is really more about the process, so you have an idea of where we are and what the next steps are. When the draft plan is published, we'll make sure we get it out to all of you and your jurisdictions, and really want to thank the staff at each city that have been working with us and coming together to understand both the priorities for each city, but also what strategies folks are interested in working on over the next 5 years.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And I am going to say that before I open up for comments here from the board and then the public. Once your draft plan is ready, if you are interested, we can certainly try to find 10 minutes or so here in one of our future board meetings, if that would give us all the opportunity, if there's an interest. So please stay in touch through Shally. I deeply appreciate the work, and I will share your thanks with our staff. Comments? Questions? Mayor Montano.
Welcome. Thank you for your presentation. So I was just wondering, what is your budget? Because the county right now, they're going through a deficit. So I'm just wondering, what's your budget now? And what do you foresee in the future with the budget cuts?
Sure. So in the current fiscal year, I assume when you say you're talking about the county, from the county, not the COC. Yeah. The county dedicates about $450 million each year to homelessness and housing efforts. That's through my office, through our behavioral health services department, and includes everything from prevention, temporary housing, permanent housing programs for folks who are unhoused. That we're in. This is probably the same budget cycle that you all are. So our county executive will publish a recommended budget in May, and for the board's consideration in May and June.
So are you getting any cuts, or you're being sustained? Is your department?
so the county budget process, like I said, is still underway, so I can't answer that yet, until the county
Alright,
budget
thank
is
you.
published. Yeah, I can say that, from the continuum of care perspective, that's one of our most important local sources. It funds services of the county, but also our nonprofit partners. Most of it funds our nonprofit partners. There has been multiple attempts to change or decrease that funding. We have been fighting to preserve that funding and currently do still have that funding. It is housing hundreds of people across the county, including folks from all of your jurisdictions. I forgot to note in the plan too that that number of housing 20,000 people, it's hard to sort of figure out what is that in your city. Our team produces twice a year reports for each of your jurisdictions that shows the share of people housed, people sheltered, folks in prevention that are from your jurisdiction. We share that with city staff. Always happy to share that with anyone who's interested too. So you can kind of see we share the countywide numbers very frequently, but I also know there's always an interest in understanding how folks from your jurisdictions are being served in the system.
Other questions, Mayor Volk?
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here tonight. So I wanted to ask a little bit about the sort of regionalism of the continuum of care. So you talked about how there's kind of 4 regions, and I'm curious if you're thinking about, recommending ordinances or how you're sort of thinking about that, because for instance, Campbell took the lead on the West Valley Homelessness Services feasibility study, which we're very grateful for in Los Gatos. So that included Campbell, Los Gatos, Saratoga, Monte Sereno, and Cupertino. And I think other cities, I think all the cities are thinking about how regionalism is needed, where I think each of the West Valley cities experienced an increase in our homeless numbers from the last count, and partially just due to shifting people around. And so how are you thinking about how to actually get us to implement, or help us implement some of those regional approaches? Because I think part of the problem is one city introduces an RV ban and then it's just like a whack-a-mole, for instance.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, we are looking at ordinances, not recommendations from the county, but really working with all the partners that are participating in this process to identify not only programs and housing goals, but also policy goals. So recognizing just what you're saying, we're hearing that from a lot of jurisdictions, this need for coming together on any policy ordinance changes, because what happens in one city will affect the next city over. So certainly that is a big part of the plan. Would love feedback on what would be prioritized for each of your areas.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit about the relationship you have in the continuum with the property management companies that are working in, for example, like the low barrier housing issues, and what feedback loop you're getting about what is working or not, and how you're kind of assessing your success.
Yeah.
With that.
Great question. I would say a couple of things on that. Our supportive housing system has grown tremendously in the past 5 to 10 years. And over the last couple of years, we've worked with property managers, developers, our service providers that are at our permanent housing locations to develop a set of quality standards that we are working to basically hold everyone to the same level of quality. It has property management pieces, it has developer pieces. From that work, we are doing assessments with properties. We are providing training. Our office just started a property management training series to provide training for direct staff that are at the properties about the population and trauma-informed care, and just understanding that the needs are unique, and we want to support property managers. We do the same or a similar training series for supportive services staff, so case managers, both of those fields have a lot of turnover, so we want to provide a really robust, regular support to help improve and improve the consistency and partnership with those agencies.
Yeah, that's great. I would say our biggest issue with the housing projects that we've put together has been, this effort to create a really dignified place. And sometimes we have one with seniors, low income and low barrier. And it's just been really, really challenging. So I'll give you my card. I'd like to hear more about it.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'm going to open the public comment. I'm being told we are running behind time. Full agenda, so my apologies, my sincere apologies. We'll cut a few minutes from the next one. Any member of the public who wants to speak? Not in person, anyone online? No one online, seeing that. Is there something very pressing? If not, here is a suggestion. This is the most important issue, but everything is. Charlie will forward your presentation and we can connect with you. And perhaps we can bring you back sooner rather than later. Does that work?
Sure.
I will leave my cards too, but yeah, I really appreciate the time and happy to come back
Okay.
anytime.
I'm learning 15 minutes per speaker is not enough. We
I
tried,
could
we
talk
tried.
about it all night, so.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm seeing those two. I don't want to lose them before 9 o'clock. They have a long drive. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming here.
Hey, we can leave it on. You can keep going.
No.
It's not a problem.
We'll keep going and we'll wrap up at 9. Okay, with that, thank you so much for understanding and bearing with me. We'll move on to item number 5, which is to determine the priority areas to guide the board's 2026 work and activities. This we do need to take a vote on at the end of discussion tonight. I'm going to start by thanking you once again for the robust discussion we had in our January board meeting and for your thoughtful input. Thank you for taking the time to fill the poll. We had results from 13 participants, and the one item that clearly rose to the top, there's an updated version online. Something was added after the staff packet was finalized. And so the top one still gets to be the emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. And now we have 3 positions tied for number 2. E-bikes, e-scooters, and RV ordinances. We were discussing this in depth at the Legislative Action Committee. So clearly there's something we need to do, both with the state and here. The second one is state advocacy, local control, and regulatory impact. That was also being discussed at the prior meeting earlier. And the last one is the public safety and community trust. All 4 reflect urgency and strong regional relevance, plus opportunities for multi-jurisdictional coordination. My recommendation is we accept all 4. 3 came at tie number 2. Let's accept all 4. And my preference would be to focus our efforts mostly on 3 so that we can actually achieve something. And at the same time, we can coordinate closely with the Legislative Action Committee, specifically for state advocacy, because that's where the bills are. We'll invite guest speakers, open to all suggestions, have educational discussions, and identify clear calls to action. Mayor Moore has offered to help me on this.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. Slam dunk. Yeah. So, and I think I'll just say, I think you're right that having disaster preparedness, e-bikes, and public safety as kind of the primary 3, and then we have the Legislative Action Committee. And so I think this body continuing to empower that body. But I think those being the top 3 makes sense.
Okay, wonderful.
And I'd just like to say, I think housing should be number 1.
That, we're going to have a vote shortly. I just want to share one more thing here with you. I'm thrilled to say this did not rise to the top, but here are some ways we are trying to explore. Tentatively, we have a date, April 30th, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Please put a hold there. We are co-sponsoring, Cities Association is co-sponsoring a potential forum with Silicon Valley Clean Energy regarding air district rules, because those rules are coming forward and each city will have to deal with the ordinances and how to proceed with it. So that's what we have come up with. The
Ordinances?
April 30th, it's a Thursday, 5:30 to 8 PM. It's in the works.
No,
It's-
I just don't know what ordinances means because we don't have anything to do with it.
No, we don't have the ordinances right now.
You don't need any ordinances. I don't know. I'm sorry. Well, we can talk about it then, but if you want to talk about the air district rules, that's great.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Maybe.
There's a lot of
We will have to
misinformation
do-
out there.
That's it. That's it. There's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of correct information that needs to be conveyed. I don't know all the details. I certainly don't. But my request is, can we please hold April 30th, 5:30 to 8 PM, the
Oh.
location and speakers?
I can't do April 30th.
They haven't checked with you?
Maybe I
Is that when
can.
we're
but
normally meeting or no?
I can't.
I don't
Separate meeting.
think so. I think it's, I can't.
I was informed they have been checking because they floated some other dates that I knew wouldn't work for quite a few.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm sure they didn't.
Okay, I
I apologize.
apologize.
If you want to go ahead, that's fine. We have.
No,
Linda
no, no,
Fell,
no,
we have
no,
others.
no, I apologize because Shelley and I have been working with,
I'm
some
not
folks.
essential. I'm just-
SBCE,
yeah,
yeah, and they're the ones organizing it.
Oh, I see.
SVC
would've
is
gotten
organizing it.
involved in
This is
that.
not our event. SVC wants to organize it. We are only going to put our name as co-sponsors, but the goal is to have all council members from all the 15 cities present. And I just thought today was the opportunity. They're still working on the details. They tell me they haven't finalized the location yet, but they wanted outreach and knowing everybody's schedules, it's very difficult to coordinate. So I don't even know at this point what to say because I was very confident they had checked with you.
No, and Madam President, I didn't mean to interrupt your flow. I had thought you probably met air district personnel. I thought perhaps some of them would have been helpful and useful. And so I thought those were the people that should have checked with me. SVC can or not, whatever their preference is. But I would certainly like to be there and be helpful, but I'm sure you can go ahead. Problem is that the conflict, just so you know, is that Stanford Door School is having a 2-day massive sustainability conference on the 29th and 30th. And we have not announced yet, but Stanford and the city of Palo Alto are doing a sustainable data centers symposium on the Friday, May 1st, right after it. And so this comes at the night in between. Maybe that's good, but I think you're going to have a lot of competition for climate people. But I don't, please go ahead if you want to. I just want you to be aware of that and I'll happy to talk to you offline.
I certainly would like to follow up and I appreciate that. And I did request that you being the Air District Vice Chair right now would be there. So clearly
Be there.
some more work needs to be done. So I don't even know what to say on that. Let's just say,
I'm sorry.
let's just say we as Cities Association are looking to explore partnership opportunities wherever we possibly can. And sometimes they will work out and sometimes they won't, just like it has been demonstrated right now. If you have other ideas, please let Shali or me know. And let's come back to the board priorities. Any comments, questions?
One question. So e-bikes, e-scooters and RV, what's the RV piece of it?
That was, we tried to combine a few
Is
things.
that the oversized vehicle
Yes,
parking thing?
yes.
And it goes with e-bikes and e-scooters. I guess they.
This is a higher umbrella
Okay.
to look at different categories. They could be separated, but some of that could be combined. There were a lot of great ideas generated at the January meeting. So one approach was to put them in larger buckets. And we came up with, I worked with Shali, we came up with a list of 10 to see where the interest is. They're all very, very meaningful for the region, for different cities. And this was just a starting point. They may end up being separate. I'm already actually talking with someone which is far from being, it's just very conceptual. As Mayor Moore was just talking earlier with the homelessness situation that people move from one. So same thing with RV. So maybe something can be done or not. I don't know.
No, I love all the topics. It just wasn't clear to me that that's what it was, given that it was associated with the other two, but I love it. So support.
Any comments? Other questions?
So
Yeah.
thank you for combining some of the categories. That cannot be easy. We have so many ideas. I'm just curious. It seems number 7 and number 8 are both public safety. but they are not really combined. And so number 8 is a flock camera, public safety technology. Number 7 is a little broad. I'm not sure exactly what that is.
So the block cameras, and I would actually like to, in view of the last 2 weeks, I would like to now start calling it ALPRs. I think most of us are changing our language on that rather than flock. That's a specific vendor. So that's the ALPRs is a very specific item within public safety. Public safety, as you rightly said, is broader subject. And so there are 2 different approaches. Maybe the ALPRs can be one part of it or not. The key thing is we can't solve every problem in the next 8 meetings. How many meetings we have left? 9 meetings or something like that this year. So just take a stab at 3 or 4 max was the goal, was the approach as we discussed earlier. And I'm open to any suggestions.
I have a question. So, in 8 meetings, what are we going to be doing in these
It's 6
priority
meetings.
areas?
I just counted in my head.
Six,
6
that's even
meetings, not
worse.
including June.
6 meetings less.
Even worse.
So, these are great areas, all of which are pretty substantial. What exactly are we attempting to accomplish in 6 meetings?
Brilliant question. That's the challenge every year this board goes through.
Right.
So it can be a combination of we need to work on something. It can be supporting bills, for sure, educating ourselves, bringing guest speakers. One summer event, the June 11th event, will be bringing all council members. Last year, we had a focus on governance. The prior year was mental health. The year before that, I recall we had Silicon Valley Clean Energy talking about some new developments there. And so it's essentially what we are able to do within the area. So as Leanne just pointed out, number 7 and number 8 are similar. So maybe within 7, we could have some speakers and then focus on 8. I'm just using it as an example, but 8 did not rise up to the top. So it's going to be a combination of what we all want to make. And that's what I'm asking here, based on the poll results. Any specific suggestions, Kelly?
So is the goal to kind of look at legislature that falls underneath these categories to determine whether we support or oppose? Is it just to get more informed ourselves? What is the goal of looking at these?
So the legislation is the Legislative Action Committee. Clearly, they look at the bills, that's what they focus on, and they recommend to the board. The board, at the end of this meeting tonight, no bills were discussed,
Right.
but it's, so we make their recommendation, we take a vote on that, and then we send support letters. So the board here is not focused, their primary focus is not legislation. That's one part of it. But broader subjects based on the priorities we set for the year, we can do advocacy independently, or for the e-bikes, that conversation started earlier, we could look at it both ways, the legislation, and maybe it's time for us to consider which cities. I know one city certainly has an ordinance, right? Okay. Okay, that's a confirmation. I have to be very careful, not the word I use for different cities. And maybe the other cities do need it. Some cities do have a challenge, as was mentioned earlier.
So would it be prudent perhaps to divide and conquer and like create 4 little subcommittees that work on these and then kind of report back?
What happened the last 2 times we did subcommittees?
It doesn't work. Okay, never mind. I'm a newbie, just throwing
Thank
it
you.
out.
I didn't want to say that. Thank you, Bob.
Nice try.
Nice.
It's a great idea.
You must be new as
I
well.
thought of the same thing too.
I've seen it tried a few years in a row.
Okay.
Other thoughts, Leanne?
I was going to suggest the same thing
Yeah,
too,
me too.
because very good point. We have only 6 meetings. So if we do the same thing, because I've heard over that complaint about the cities association is we keep receiving representation, we don't do anything. But with only 6 meetings, you can only receive information, and there is not a lot of time to do anything within this 1 year. So I don't know why the subcommittee doesn't work. There might be reasons. Maybe we can make it work this time if we know why it didn't work. Or maybe we could have like a 2-year work program, like we did do in Cupertino now. So first year information, second year, maybe we can do something.
The board members change every year, Mayor Potato and Mayor Turner.
I noticed cybersecurity got no votes,
I was surprised.
and that's okay. I will tell you that in our town, in 1 quarter, we lost $2 million. Residents lost $2 million to cybersecurity scams. So a lot of the property losses have actually become online sort of losses nowadays. And our technology committee put together what I believe is one of the best presentations on this, which is very practical and has specific things that residents can do to keep themselves safe online. It's very comprehensive, but also has like a checklist of what you can do. So if it's of interest to the association, I'd be happy to do a 15-minute presentation on that and share it with everybody. And then you can take it to, your cities and share it with your residents.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for the offer.
Sure.
We'll find a month for him. Love that. Right, Chad?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking notes.
Yes, wonderful. Mayor Turner.
I think where everyone's going here is, what's the end goal here? If 6 meetings, we don't want to find ourselves like we did today. Hey, you got 15 minutes, present, get out.
Yeah.
And we don't have time to talk about it and dig deeper. Let's just take, for example, e-bikes or disaster preparedness, since that really got most of the votes. If what we're trying to do here is develop information, have conversations that each of us can take away information to implement something in our cities, it's going to take more than one meeting.
Yes.
Or it's going to take 2 hours of one meeting to do that, which means we're going to have 3 items, but I'm okay with that, 3 items on the agenda. But so maybe what it means to us here is we have 6 meetings, we pick 3 items, 2 meetings per item, or 3 meetings, we pick 2 items. But I mean, again, what we've got to figure out, I'm not interested in just getting a 15-minute presentation and then walking away going, well, that was nice, but we don't take anything away from it. So if we want to say we've accomplished something, we've taken it back to our cities and now done something substantial with it, we're just going to require more time on 1 or 2 items.
Wonderful. And I agree with you. And trust me, sitting here trying to wrap a meeting in 2 minutes, in 2 hours,
Yeah.
and trying to, and at the same time, which means cutting someone off at 15 to 18 minutes is very awkward for me.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that either. And I recall Mayor Moore saying in the January meeting, let's not go more than 2 or 3 priorities. So is someone going to make a suggestion or motion, which,
No, I'm not going to do that, but I have a comment and maybe that would lead to other suggestions or a motion. I was going to say that I think when you look at the ones that ended up on top, even though disaster preparedness is the top one, we have bodies. Isn't there someone here who's going to speak on that later in the agenda? Is it SVRIA or, I mean, there's a number of county organizations that each of our cities are involved with. I hate for us to start at the very beginning and try to create a wheel when we already have some of those monster trucks, working heavy duty in the disaster preparedness space. So I don't know how much value we can add, even if we devoted 2 hours for 6 meetings at each of them. So maybe we should focus on the ones where we can compare our notes, whether it be on the e-bikes and e-scooters, what's working, what's not. And I agreed with Vice Mayor Chow that the public safety, that the ALPRs are a very specific but very topical aspect of public safety right now. And there's a lot of misinformation, and there's also a lot of different approaches, and we should be comparing notes. So where can we actually learn the most from each other? And I would say public safety, with a focus on the ALPRs, and then probably e-bikes and e-scooters. I think the RVs are very different. unless they're parking on the sidewalks where the e-bikes are trying to ride by. I don't know, but so that would be my input. I would say what I just said. So anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I hear a motion there.
I actually also don't have a motion, but I was just, you said that, doing subcommittees does not work. Would it make sense to have like a breakout session here so that, you can have little groups working on specific areas, or maybe we all sort of sit together and talk about some particular issue and come back and then share our findings or directions. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I mean, perhaps if we have three main priorities, we have 6 meetings, we could do like a study session over the next 3 meetings on each of those items, devote, an hour to each. And then from there, see if there are opportunities where we really want to sink our teeth into it, or like, if it turns out, disaster preparedness, SVIRA is already doing all the comm stuff. We don't need to touch that. Great. Let's really dive in on e-bikes or Flock, I don't know. I think e-bikes seems to be a really good one because we're all seemingly on the same page. I think ALPR is going to be a little bit harder because there seems to be a pretty significant, maybe some camps. But I think doing maybe study sessions could work.
Yeah, if you're done, I was gonna.
Please.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I do think, again, we limit it to 2 or 3. And define what is it we want to take away? What is it we're trying to get out of those study sessions and determine, again, if it was disaster preparedness, we've already got folks doing that. I'm with Rob. I think we do, it's really got to be 2 or 3. However we break that down, however many meetings, when those discussions occur. But I do think we'll find more success because quite frankly, I won't sign up for a subcommittee. I don't have time for any more meetings. I really don't. So that was the problem that people had. It's a great idea. We get motivated, we leave here and go, there's no room in my calendar. That's really
not what I was intending.
Oh, no.
I was saying we meet in subcommittees when we meet here.
I know, but then that is the meeting. That's it. That's 2 items, 3 items maybe on the agenda. That is it.
Well,
And if everyone's for, I'm good. I'm just saying, you get tonight's agenda. There's 15 items. We're not going to get through them all.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
Way too much.
As a point of order, though, tonight we just have to do this. We can't
We
really
just- we
clarify
just
the setup of
choose-
meetings.
I need a motion so that we can, at the end of this
I'll make a
meeting.
motion.
Okay, which 3 items?
Oh, yeah. I was going to make a motion. We just narrowed it down to 3, but I will say, I'll go with e-bikes.
Okay,
I would say public safety and Flock cameras are combined.
okay.
And someone help me out.
State advocacy.
State advocacy we do anyway.
State would happen
Trying
in lack.
disaster preparedness.
I-
I think if there's 9,
I still, thank you for saying that.
Disaster preparedness?
Yeah,
Those are my
emergency
3.
preparedness, we can't solve it, but
Yeah.
this is something we don't want to be.
No, see, that's my motion, those 3.
Okay. Okay,
I'll second.
who seconded that?
There's 2 of us.
Okay, so we already have.
Anything else in your motion? Like
No,
study session?
no,
Okay.
that's it, those 3.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
And then we figure out the process.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
possibility is focusing an hour. So any comment, we have a motion, we have a second. Any comment on how we break that? Are you suggesting we don't get speakers or only speakers on that
Well,
subject?
I would say, let's vote on the motion
Okay,
and then we'll figure out the process.
okay.
I just want clarification on the motion. You're combining public safety and community trust, which seems to be quite different than data reconciliation and public safety. So how do those work together?
Community trust. I didn't see
Isn't
that,
that
I'm
what
sorry.
that last one was? Yeah,
Is that what
public
it is?
safety and community trust was.
Oh, okay. Well, again, I would say, if we need to sort of surgically remove something out of that, we can.
Yes.
But those are the ones I'm suggesting.
Yes. And there was a lot of discussion. So these categories were not written or they're not set in stone. This was just the 2 of us trying to create some buckets.
I do think Flock cameras and public trust go together.
Good
So
point.
I don't see a problem.
So can you restate the motion again?
Yeah, I am moving that we focus on 3 areas: disaster preparedness, e-bikes, I'm just gonna use the first one, and combining public safety and flock cameras.
Anyone who is not comfortable with that. That doesn't mean we will not touch upon the others.
But we do have a motion in a second.
Correct. So I'm just looking for any comments before we take a vote on it.
So
In case somebody.
I have a clarification. So for disaster preparedness, when I agree with Sally that we already have the emergency, we have the EOEC and then we have the SPIC. So we already have that. So why are we reinventing the wheel?
My disaster preparedness though could be, I mean, we talk about fire prep or fire. I mean, there's things in each of our cities where SBRIA does not really deal with that. Although, I mean, there's some involvement there. But when we talk about high fire risk, insurance rates, those sorts of things, that could be different than, an earthquake and preparing
I
for
agree
that.
with insurance rate. I've been getting a lot of complaints
Yeah,
about the
So
insurance
that
rate.
could fall under that category.
So Mayor Branchana, some of it could be communication. I'm trying intentionally not to comment on these. I wanted to generate thoughts here. But the emergency response could be not just prevention, but communication. How do we coordinate? Are we all council members in all the 15 cities aware of specifically what I'm supposed to do when something happens? Do we have information from lessons learned from different kinds of challenges that the region has had, or thankfully so far our region hasn't had, but could face? And maybe there are opportunities that, hey, here's a list of 10 things. Has my city achieved all of those 10? Remember the recovery part. I had a great conversation with Ken talking about pieces that we can focus on. What are the nonprofit organizations doing? I learned a lot at the EOAC meetings that you also attend. I had zero visibility before I was there. And I had already been there. After 4 years of being on the council, including being mayor, I did not know a lot of this. Not because I don't ask questions. I think most of you know I ask a ton of questions. But some of this could be just educational for us, getting some speakers and just bringing us to the same page. And the e-bikes is a great one where we can achieve something. I completely agree with that. Not a challenge my city is facing, but I fully support that. That is a universal thing. Question and comment, and then we're going to take a vote. We have a motion and a second.
Kind of a question. So one of the top 4 is the state advocacy and local control. So my understanding was the idea is this is something the LAC is already doing. But I also have heard from multiple people when I spoke to them, they said Citizens Association should have taken a stronger stance on local control. So independently, the Legislative Action Committee can still continue emphasize on the state advocacy, local control, right? So that does not prevent them from doing that if we adopt these other 3. Just want to clarify.
So here is the way I'm looking at it, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The bills that they recommend, we write letters of support or opposition, they do come to the board.
Yeah.
And as we were talking earlier,
But
when
them themselves don't really do advocacy.
I have another idea. We have a leadership summit coming up in Sacramento, April 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Do we all want to go together and talk about the lack of local control, the loss of local control, the challenges we were discussing at the LAC meeting 2 hours ago? Sitting here discussing something advocacy-wise, is that enough to achieve results? I don't think so, Mayor Bateja.
I mean, I'm a strong advocate for that item, the state advocacy and local control, but I like your idea of bringing that up in Sacramento, because clearly that's not a sort of high enough priority here to make the cut. And we do have the opportunity to work through the legislative process over here. So I'm okay with that approach.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
I'd like to call for the vote.
Okay. Time to call for the vote.
Oh,
Do you want to make a motion?
no, I cannot make a motion.
No, do you want to read the motion?
My glasses.
Sorry.
Motion to focus on the three priority areas of e-bikes, public safety combined with plot cameras and emergency preparedness. Was made by Turner, seconded by R. Kamei. All in favor?
A friendly suggestion, can we start calling it ALPRs, not flock? Just a request.
I support that.
You support
Yeah,
that?
you know, but I don't want to be dinged if, it's easy for me to say flock compared to LA. AL.
So I
It's
suggest
gonna
we
be
use the
flock to me
language.
probably, so if you wanna, yeah, but I think we get it, I mean, I think we do get it, yeah. If you want, in the motion, you wanna put,
No, I think
LA
the motion should
IL.
reflect the language that you guys see. up
Device again,
there.
better.
okay,
Let's do it.
very good, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
There are
I'm calling
other-
them.
There are other.
Excellent.
All right.
Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
Passes unanimously?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm not calling.
Now, how are we doing time wise?
I don't know. I haven't been checking the topic.
Okay.
8:16.
It's 16.
And
Wow,
we're
thank
on
you.
Item 6 and there are 15 items.
Oh, my God. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay, do we want to discuss the process or take that offline?
Not now.
No.
I'd say offline, if we wanna get through the agenda, I mean, we're
We
not.
have to do the budget.
it's
I
gonna
would
be tough.
suggest the executive or the committee.
Yeah, I think you've kind of heard kind of where several ideas, and I think it will,
Okay.
I think if we're all okay with you guys kind of fleshing that out.
Okay, so you're going to hear later on, the exec committee meeting is at the end of the month. If you have other thoughts, please send your notes to Shali and we will consider them and discuss that. Okay, let's move on to item number 6, fiscal year 2026-27 draft budget update and potential adjustments for fiscal year 2025-26. This is a discussion and possible action item. We have the board treasurer and the executive director. One of you is going to
Yeah,
take
so
this.
I'll get it started and then Shelley can take over when we start doing the comparison of FY 26 and sort of a draft of FY 27. So a lot of this happened towards the end of December. Some of you attended the holiday party and the budget had been over a period of time increasing a little bit, but it has not really been sufficient to cover all of the costs. So this last year, there were some sponsorships that were done, which covered some of the costs, but we were short the 2,385. If we got 3 sponsors, if we probably would have gotten 4 sponsors, it probably would have covered the costs. So over time, things have increased. And so this year, there are a lot of learnings, and we're hoping that the board would be able to go with the recommendation, which is to reallocate to the holiday party on the line item. There are going to be some savings because there were some items that we haven't expensed. So we're thinking that we're going to end with an overage at the end of the year, but that's the recommendation from to the board. Questions, comments? We would need a motion from the board, from the board to be able to allocate the funds to be able to move them over. And then Shally can talk a little bit about the draft budget. And the reason why it's coming to us now is that it gets presented to the city managers meeting, and the board should look at it and ask any questions. You'll have another opportunity when it comes back, but it's going to go in draft form to the city managers so that the city managers are aware of what, and Tim is not here. He had another meeting to go to. So this is sort of the preview of what is expected for next year.
And you're looking for a motion?
Yes.
So moved?
Second.
So what is can you say the motion exactly?
The motion is to reallocate to the holiday party, the line item to cover the expenses of 2,385.
I'll get the exact wording when I listen to the.
Any comments?
How many people attended the December party?
We had 80.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, open to the public. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item?
Increasing it, aren't they increasing it?
Anyone
No
online?
comment.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Call for the vote.
Okay.
Can we have the vote, please, Shelley?
The motion as it was stated by Councilmember Arkane was made
And
by.
I can state it again, just, it's in the packet, that, that we reallocate to the holiday party line item to cover the expenses. And a lot of the recommendation was from currently budgeted but unspent funds, so it wouldn't increase our budget in terms of expenditures.
Was made by Turner and seconded by Ramirez. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you.
And on the second half is really to look at the proposed FY 27 budget, which is similar to what it was last year. There is a increase in terms of some of the items, but it's very slight. The membership dues are recommended to maintain to be the same, so there'll be no increases to any of the cities. That seems to be sufficient. And Shelley, is there anything else?
Yeah, well, we did add two line items, sponsorships and donations, and a second line item of in-kind support. We can't put any dollar amounts in there because I don't know that we should anticipate in case we don't get it. But I wanted to put it in there just so that we have something to report back on at the end of the year if we do get sponsorships and stuff. The other thing we did is previously the holiday party line item was just holiday party, right? But there's a lot of different things that go into it. And one of them is the awards and the recognitions that we give out. And so that also contributes to the cost. It's not a huge part of the cost, but we decided to pull it out, and we're proposing to put $1,000 in that line item.
So this is a preview. You'll see it again. And if there are no questions or anything like that, you'll get a second opportunity to review it in draft form.
So I want a clarification. So we're doing this in case we don't, because I know we get charged. I think, how much are the charges to buy a ticket?
$75.
Right, how much?
75.
Yeah, so is this like just in case we don't get enough people to go, so it just covers the cost?
Kind of a complicated calculation in the end, because we also take into account with the sponsorships, all the gift reporting requirements. So it's a balancing act between the sponsorships, between the money that's typically been budgeted by the board for the actual event, and then the ticket sales.
Thank you.
Okay.
Again, you're looking for a motion?
I know, this is just
This
to,
is just,
yeah.
this is the draft.
Let's go.
This is just a draft form. So if there are no questions, we can move on to the next item.
I want to open it to the public. Actually, I did open the whole item to the public earlier. Okay, so are we good on this? Ready to move on to item number 7? Thank you. Consider approval of memorandum of understanding to.
Wait, they didn't vote. They voted?
Yeah, we voted on the motion.
Okay.
You,
Okay.
you voted on
They voted on the
6A,
motion.
right?
Yes.
Are we good, board treasurer?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we good? Yeah.
We can move on.
Okay, we can move on.
We had a motion and a vote.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Item number 7, consider approval of memorandum of understanding to continue the collaborative planning effort with the county of Santa Clara. It's a discussion and possible action item, and Shani will lead this.
So last year, the board approved an MOU that included both the county and all the cities. And when we discussed it with the county, they weren't clear that they were going to be able to participate due to budget constraints. And we circulated the MOU that was approved by the board through the city managers. 8 of the cities have now signed it. We're waiting for 7 other cities that have expressed that they want to participate to sign the MOU and to pay the funds, but kind of put us in a bit of an awkward situation with the county. We're pleased that they're able to attend, but they wanted some minor tweaks to the agreement. And rather than recirculating it to all the cities already signed it, the most efficient way was to come up with a new MOU, which is essentially identical. They're just 2 separate documents. And so what we're asking for is authorization for the president to execute the MOU with the county of Santa Clara. Then they will take it
to their board on the 24th and for approval to execute it. And they plan on participating in the plan collaborative.
Questions? Motion?
I move.
Public.
Oh.
Public comment?
No
Online?
one online.
Okay. Close public comment, bring it back for a motion. Okay, moved
So
by
what-
Ramirez.
What are the changes in summary?
In essentially, it's changes to the recitals. And it's
Okay.
a singular document that now is just about the county as opposed to being a joint document.
Thank you.
So it doesn't change what the cities have signed. And it's also a reminder for the other cities, 7 that haven't yet signed. Correct. Please go back to your cities and ask your CDD directors or your city managers. If they haven't signed, here's an opportunity if they are interested. Okay, so we had a motion by Ramirez. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Second by Bateja? You have that?
Yeah.
Liang, question.
So the
Comment.
county doesn't want to sign the original MOU and which all this is circulating around with the cities. And they want to sign a separate one, but then you say they're identical. I don't get it.
They were requesting changes. And instead of having a conversation with them and making changes and going back through the cities and having the 8 cities that had already signed it, re-sign it, we ended up agreeing to a separate standalone document. It
So
just
there are
included,
changes.
and essentially the changes ended up just being in the recitals. And the funding is just the county funding. It doesn't talk about the funding for all the other agencies.
So this one we are approving is the one only with the county.
Correct.
That has the county changes.
Yes.
So what exactly did they change?
It's more a county-centric document, meaning that the recitals provide the history of what has transpired and that the cities have agreed to continue the project. And then outlines that they're anticipating that the board will approve it, that on the 24th, that the board of supervisors will approve it. So it has a recital to that effect. And then when you come down to the compensation provisions, it only includes what the county's going to pay, as opposed to we have a chart in the other document that says what every entity is going to pay.
Oh, okay.
Are we ready to call a vote? Charlie?
Okay. Motion to approve and authorize the president to execute a memorandum of understanding with the County of Santa Clara to serve as the fiscal agent and administer an agreement for professional services with Consultant Community Planning Collaborative was made by Ramirez, seconded by Bateja. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, item number 8, 2026 Cities Association meeting calendar, discussion and hopefully action. So 2 dates. We have the February Executive Committee meeting originally scheduled for the 26th of this month. It needs to be moved due to schedule conflicts. It does not impact most of us. We are working with the Executive Committee members, and most likely that meeting will be moved by 1 day to the 27th of February, likely in Sunnyvale City Hall around 4:15 or 4:30 p.m. The sharing for transparency purposes, we are sorting out and finalizing the details. We will call it a special meeting because that was approved to be the 26th last time in the calendar. But the date that was not decided was for, may I request we start calling the December one as a winter event? That's, I think, more in line with what the association does. And Shally sent a poll for the dates. And Shally, what are the top 3 dates that rose up?
Well, the number 1 date is our typical meeting night, which is Thursday, December 10th. And then the next 2 that tied were Friday, December 11th and Sunday, December 13th. We did not put Saturday, December 12th because we knew that would be cost prohibitive.
Questions, comments, motion?
So it's just Thursday, December 10th is the date of our mayor election. That's currently written in the council procedures menu. That has to be the second Thursday of December.
Yeah,
So
that's a
they-
challenge because that has
Yeah.
been longstanding Cities Association meeting night. And that's why I'm bringing this back
But there
to the
hasn't been
board.
meeting before since we adopted. That was adopted in 2020.
It was,
Yeah.
that
Anyway,
has
I'll
been our
bring it
meeting
back
night.
to our city and maybe we can change that.
Would you? Because I
Mm.
understand, I checked, I did look at it respectfully. That from what I understand, it is not an ordinance, but the resolution was passed 2
Yeah.
years ago, knowing that that is a conflict with the Cities
If the
Association
date
meeting night.
wasn't- Yeah, if the date wasn't set before, but they just started this thing, 2-3 years ago, yeah.
Other
Before it was
thoughts?
any date, yeah.
Charlie,
That's
can you
okay.
share the background with the board members?
This
Yeah, I'll
impact
let them
the
know.
6 community or the 6 meetings for priorities down to 5 then?
Yeah, I didn't count this.
No, we don't count this. We don't have a meeting in July. We don't count this. June is a working event, so we don't count that. But I was personally actually hoping if one of the at least 10 items on the list of the priorities, if we could somehow find a little way, that's why I'm trying to call the December one as a winter event to make it more meaningful in line with the work we all do every day. I know the long hours you all keep. So my challenge is how do I choose the date? Last year, the Sunday was chosen and we understood some groups could not attend, and then Sunday people have family time. Friday, there are some other groups that meet. And this time we even tried to open up the next week, which clearly is not going to work. It's getting close to Christmas. So I don't know what to say. December 10th is the second Thursday, the long-standing Cities Association meeting night. I do recall, was it 3 years ago? Quite a few of us were in Cupertino as they took vote for the new mayor, and then we all drove off to attend the event, Cities Association event in Mountain View.
It's 2024.
24?
If you've done an event in Mountain View, that would have been 23.
23, okay. So any suggestions so that we can move forward?
I move that we accept the December 10th Thursday meeting.
A second.
Any other thoughts, show of hands, or we can just call for a vote? It's an awkward one. I don't know. I'm going to be in an awkward position at the end of the year in December. So
Can I just ask, you mentioned having driven from one to the other. Is there a timing thing where this can be early enough and ours can be so that works?
if Cupertino is willing to change it, they only have a resolution and they,
Yeah.
with due
We can
respect, they
change.
created a resolution knowing fully well that it's been a long-standing thing. And
Okay.
I
understand.
apologize.
I'm just trying to help
Yeah,
make it.
we didn't have a fixed date before, but they have
Yeah.
it now, but I think they can change it.
Any other comments? Members of the public
No one online.
online? Do you have a vote? I mean, do you have a motion
I have
in
a
a second?
motion and a second. To accept December 10th as the date for the event, winter event was made by R. Kamei, seconded by Cox. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
See, it was on the
Thank you.
26th.
With that, let's,
What about the
Did you catch
executive?
And
that?
I think an
You
executive.
were gonna ask them.
So it's not for us.
I'm
Do I
not
need
on-
it? I thought
You're
you
not
said
on
call it
the
special
event,
meeting.
yeah.
We can call it special meeting.
I don't know.
No, you proposed it. I think.
I'm fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
we're good.
just the you and I
Thank
talked about.
Yeah, thank you. Andrew's email said you have text. Sorry, she was checking that in case I missed the executive committee meeting date change, if I needed a vote, but we have to change it to a special meeting. So we're good. Sorry about that. Trying to make sure we're doing it all correctly. Okay, item number 9, Brown Act update, presentation and discussion. Do we need to do it tonight or do we want to move it to the next meeting in the interest of time? Your call, Jack.
You don't need to do it, and I can do it in 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Minutes to go. Ready, go.
Laying down the gauntlet here.
In your individual jurisdictions and the
this is a major overhaul of the Brown Act, as you know, and they've added a whole bunch of new ways that jurisdictions can have remote meetings. And the reality is, in looking at them and what they require, we have been very successful in using teleconferencing, and it works for almost everything. And we still have the just cause, and just cause has been expanded, so we can use that. There are options that you can go through processes of adopting resolutions and overseeing your eligible subsidiary bodies, such as the executive committee, but that's a lot of work, and I don't think you really need it because you got teleconference. We're also a multi-jurisdictional agency, and we could take advantage. You could adopt the resolution I attached to the agenda packet, but I don't think you even really need that, because the only people that could ever appear remotely that way are our representatives from Gilroy and Morgan Hill, because they're 20 miles away. So if we need it, we can adopt it later. So teleconference works really well for us, and that's my presentation.
Nice. Questions? Comments? Members of the public? Anyone online?
No one online.
Okay.
I move that we award that the best presentation of the evening.
Now, that's great praise from an attorney for another one.
Oh, that's
I second that motion. We are blessed to have Jani here. Moving on to item number 10. It's a report from our regional appointed representative, and tonight Brian Makachuk, Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission, is going to be presenting. And Brian, thank you for your patience.
He's
already there. Wonderful. He needs no introduction. Can I do one minute, very quick? Second term on Montecito City Council. In case you don't know, he was mayor in 2023. He's truly passionate about public service. We all know that. Environmental and fiscal sustainability, and represents residents' views. CPA with an MBA, Brian has worked in accounting and management consulting for Ernst & Young, Silicon Valley firms. I have to say this. Director of Silicon Valley Clean Energy, I don't know how many years, 6 or something, 6th year, I think, and chair of the audit committee there. He's chair of West Valley Stormwater Authority, chair of Santa Clara County Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission, and vice chair of West Valley Solid Waste Management Authority. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I'm going to be real quick and concise, and I don't know if I want you to do anything, but I want you to understand what's going on. And I was appointed by this board, by this body, and I'm reporting back to you, and it was been a couple of years. So there's 3 issues that the Santa Clara County Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission is facing. One is participation and leadership of that. And by the way, there are 3 of us that are, you'll see our names that are in the room here. And the fourth person is not here because he was working last night, chairing a meeting, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Larry Klein. And he left this morning on a 6:30 a.m. flight to LA. So there would be 4 of us here tonight. I want to talk about that, but financial sustainability of the Santa Clara County Recycling and Waste Reduction Commission. There's problems. And then with that, what's our mission and what's our funding going to be? Next slide, please. So this is the mission so the key words I try to highlight: advocacy, education, and outreach programs, reuse, reduce, recycle, and intelligently dispose, promote composting, pollution and waste prevention, and sustainable living practices for all the people of Santa Clara County. I wanted to put that up because it's pretty broad, but it's also somewhat narrow. We've got some issues with the TAC, or the Technical Advisory Committee, kind of broadening the scope. And that's the leadership problem that we have. Next slide, please. So these are the commissioners. And you'll see, I'm the second one on the second line, and then we've got the cow that's here, and Vicky's here, Larry would be here, and then we've got several down below, including Margaret Abacoba. And you are supposed to be able to miss a maximum of 3 meetings, and then you basically get replaced. That hasn't been followed for years. And we have been missing meetings because we don't have quorum, et cetera. And it has not been good. And I commend this body for, I believe it was Larry that was advocating to appoint more people, and you did that. Next slide, please. So this is the organization structure. So you see the commissions on top. So we're the electeds. What we should be doing is setting policy and direction, and then the staff underneath are supposed to implement that. So for example, we say, here's what our priorities are, A, B, C, and D. Come back, tell us what the budget is going to be to do that. We either approve or we don't approve the budget. They ask for resources. You tell them what to do, set the priorities. They come back and say, here's how much it's gonna cost, and then we say, you have the resources or you don't. But it doesn't quite work that way. And then you've got at the bottom a number of subcommittees. This is a big structure, and there are so many meetings that are so poorly attended. So I'm kind of, I like to get things done, and I like to be effective and efficient. And this is not working, and we got another problem. We have, I'm describing an expense problem here, but there's also a revenue problem that I'm going to get to in just a moment. Next slide, please. So here you got at the top funding, $4.68 a ton. So every ton of waste that goes to the landfill in the county or outside the county, you get charged $4.68. Okay, and on the bottom left, solid waste, there's $1.50 a ton that goes to each of the jurisdictions that it comes from. Household hazardous waste, $2.60 a ton that go to the household hazardous waste programs. And then over on the far right, the Recycling Waste Production Commission gets 78 cents?
78 cents.
78 cents a ton. Okay, so what happened? We had SB 1383 come in, and that's taking out your organics, right? And if you think of landfill pre 1383, think pre that, all that waste went into the landfill, so it was a lot of tonnage. You start to take that out, your tonnage goes down. Your tonnage goes down, the revenues go down. Next slide, please. Okay, this I got this data from 2009 when 1383 was being thought of. It didn't go into effect until 2020, and it started to go into effect then. So you see, this is the total tons of landfill. So you see what's going down, but you got to think, as you grow your population, you're also going to increase your weight, generally speaking. So then it went up, and then you see the peak, and then all of a sudden it dropped down over at the far right the last 4 years. This is a revenue problem. We got an expense problem, we got a revenue problem. Next slide, please. This is for the West Valley cities. So Los Gatos, Saratoga, Montecito, and Campbell. So the blue is recycling, green is organics, and the dark brown is landfill. And kind of hard to see on this, but you see what's going on is the green is on the far right is increasing, and the brown is decreasing. The revenues are based on the brown bars. Okay. So, and if you look, the blue, the recycling is around 20%. So this is a good thing in that the organics are going up and the landfill is going down. Next slide, please. This is the same slide, but it's in percentage. So the total amount, and then this is the percentage. So there at the far right, you can see, it's around the last 5 years, around 20% blue. That's the recycling. Organic is increasing, and the landfill is going down. Next slide, please. So revenues are decreasing, expenditures increasing, Financial sustainability is a question mark. It's pretty basic. So it leads to the question, do we need to reconsider the recycling and waste reduction mission mission? And then what's financially sustainable for this in Santa Clara County? I don't have an answer for that. I want to raise issues so that all of the cities that are in Santa Clara County understand this. Next slide, please. So if you think what's going on, right? So you take your household hazardous, or your household waste, that's everything. You should be taking out your household hazardous waste, get rid of that separately. And then you have to say, I'm gonna take my organics out, my recyclables out, and the rest goes to the landfill. So those are the three streams. And the organics is new. And then the organics go to a composting facility that ends up ultimately in Altamont Pass, which is just kind of weird because it's really windy up there and they're doing the composting. But I've been there and it's a little odd. But anyways, and then at the bottom, your recyclables, those go to a place and they all get separated. And then in each of those two streams, the top, the green, the bottom, the recycle, the residue or what can't go forward then goes to landfill. All the revenues are captured in terms of that, though. Like if you send something for recycling and it ends up in the landfill, those tons still get counted as revenue, still as revenue. What doesn't happen though is what goes into the landfill isn't reviewed. So what do you think? Where do you think those household hazardous waste go? Right? Ends up in the landfill, not what you want to have happen. So I just wanted everyone to understand these diversion streams because the key thing is that box to the right, white box separation, right? What do you put where? Okay, next slide, please. So the diversion rate is what everyone talked about, and you're trying to have a high diversion rate. And how do you increase it? The diversion rate, reduce your contamination, right? And increase the participation. And two, reduce the amount of single-use disposable items purchased. If we just take tonight for an example, we see a few single, yes, okay. I think I made my point. But we need to get this messaging through because, go back one slide, please. Separation doesn't really cost money, right? It's education and it's just someone doing it. But how do they know what to do? Slide forward, please. So I want to talk about household hazardous waste just for a moment. These household hazardous waste cause an immense amount of problem when you have a wildfire. And when you look at Altadena and Pacific Palisades, the smoke and the ash that was left behind, that was extremely toxic. And then they had to get rid of all the ash. And that went to a class 3 landfill site and in Calabasas, I believe. And they went crazy because of all of the toxins that are there. You know, and so what's the point? Point is we in Santa Clara County need to get rid of our household hazardous waste. There's a wildfire, it can jump. And then when you have a fire and you're burning household hazardous waste, that's bad news. And it increases your healthcare costs, right? What's the problem with our county? Healthcare costs. So you need to prevent that from happening. And this is very expensive to get rid of. Remember, our $2.60 of the $4.68 a ton goes to reducing household, goes to programs that collect household hazardous waste. So getting back to your priority slide, when you say disaster preparedness, this by doing something here, it will make the disaster less of a disaster. But a disaster is, of course, by definition, a disaster. Next slide, please. So here's your three streams. In the state of California, it was mandated that three colors be used. And I don't wanna pick on anyone, but you know, if you look at our this disposal here, we're not compliant. You know, but these are the three colors and it's throughout the state of California. So this is a good thing. And then at the left, you see those buckets. Those are what West Valley Solid Waste Management Authority put in place so that people would receive those and they'd have the buckets. They could collect their organics from their kitchen and then put them in the green container, the green container, the organics. At our city council meeting at the beginning of January, we had a presentation by West Valley Collection and Recycling, who is our hauler. Of the five council members, two of them didn't know what those buckets were. I'm ashamed of that, but the glass half full, it's an opportunity, right? They're like, wow. Where do I get one of those buckets? Can I take the one?
They brought samples. They brought samples of those buckets.
Yeah, they brought.
They physically gave them to us.
So of the five,
Maybe that's a brown
I
act.
have not seen them. Okay. Next slide, please. This is more education that we need to have, and there's programs that we've got in West Valley to go through these. And they're gonna be going into like coffee shop and other locations. I don't wanna. What would be really interesting is to have a little event where you take a group, and say, you know what? What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a number of different things, and then each of you have to take those and then put them into the correct bin. You would not believe how many errors are made. Next slide, please. So this is what is going out if people aren't separating their waste correctly in the top right. If you go one over, it's a courtesy collection notice. They're doing something wrong. And then there's the non-collection notice. So you get a courtesy and then a non-collection. And if you're doing a good job, you get almost a gold star. Next slide. So I just wanted to make these 3 points. We need to have more participation in our commission, and we need to lead it. So that's one. We have a financial sustainability problem that's going to be coming up in 2027. You can only cut so much. And at the same time, if your expenses are going up, that's a problem. And then it raises the question, what are we, the commission, what are we going to do for our mission? And what are we going to ask for funding from the county? What's our source of funding because it's going down? How many minutes am I at? I'm done. Sorry for going so fast, but I felt a little bit of pressure.
Thank you. I know that's my challenge. We have such interest from the board and such great speakers that the time kind of becomes an issue. Great presentation. I learned something.
It does. So I'm going to show you two things. First of all, this is what we're doing. We've got these battery bags. So if you've got batteries, you put them in this, you put it on top of your landfill. And they collect those and they put and they give you new bags. So it's a turnaround thing. If you think of Costco, and I'm just using that as an example, and you think of all the batteries that they sell, how many do you think they get back? Right? Rhetorical question. They don't get them all back. Or we don't get them all back. Where do they end up? The landfill. Not a good thing. The other thing that really irritates me, I'm kind of into sustainability and whatnot, is when you go to Safeway and you see these bags and it says they're compostable. They're not.
What?
Yeah. By a definition, they are compostable, but it takes a long time. When you take the composting from here and it goes to Altamont Pass, these bags don't work. I believe, and I, with a fair amount of passion, that the county needs to do something and say, Safeway, and whoever, thou shalt not have the labeling that's misleading or this county. You know, so if I can move the needle a little bit on that, I would like to do that. And I have pledged to stand up in front of Senate, the superintendents, and say, this is what you gotta do.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to request, when you have questions, I certainly do plenty. Brian's phone number is available to most of us. If not, just text me, and with his permission, I'll share with you. And we have the next item, Santa Clara County update from Steve Preminger. Steve, if you can quickly help us, I know we are running out of time.
We put in the
presentation. Thank you.
Oh, you just want a gold star too.
Thank you.
No, I will keep this very short. There are many different ways to look at the Super Bowl that just happened. One of them is it's a disaster that did not happen. And that was because all of our cities, all of our police chief, fire chief, emergency operations center people came together and worked cooperatively. The county, the city of Santa Clara, the city of San Jose, all of you really did a great job to help prevent what could have been, a tragedy. Unfortunately, the climate wasn't there for that, so I think we all escaped a big one. The only other thing I'd say is the county budget is terrible, disaster, you might say, and we're in a better year than we will be next year. Thanks for the cheers, Steve. You're welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Next item, Legislative Action Committee update from Chair Elliot Scozola. Can I request 5 minutes, please, from both of you?
Of course.
Yeah, I know we're running over time. The agenda got very busy.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. No,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be brief as well. So we had our wonderful guest speaker, Assemblymember Patrick Aaron, to introduce himself to new members. He also presented us with some of his recent legislation wins, which focus on anti-poverty. This year, he plans on introducing more bills with a focus on affordability. That's our magic word that we all have been hearing, I'm sure, over and over again, affordability, affordability, affordability. We also had time briefly to look at and discuss last year's legislative priorities and getting a feel for which we still may wish to pursue. And we also began discussion for what the committee may bring to the board for consideration. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions or comments? Look like it. All right.
Okay, you got a couple of thumbs up. So thank you so much. That was a great meeting. And with that, we are going to skip item number 13 because city managers are at their conference. We were aware of that. They suggested sending someone here, but I felt it wasn't really.
The meeting is next week anyway.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you, Steve, for reminding me of that. The item number 14 is Executive Director update from Shally.
Yeah, I'll be super brief. I'm just really excited to finally start working with the website contractor in revamping our website. Yes, that does require. No.
Okay, with that, item number 15.
Yeah.
I think it's.
Well, Form 700 stuff. I mean, so our new members got the assuming office. The members who are no longer here got the leaving office. For the new members who got it, your jurisdiction is the entire county, FYI. If you have any questions, just please reach out to me.
Okay, joys and challenges at 8:59. I want joys.
Well, I have one,
Okay.
I have one joy. Mr. McIntyre still here? Mayor Furtado just pointed out that the state, there's a bill, AB 1812, that restricts the use of terms like biodegradable and compostable unless they meet certain standards. It's a state bill right now, and we're trying to tell, it looks like it passed. So we should make him sure he knows. There's my joy.
Okay, wonderful. Other joys, well, or challenges, seriously.
I actually should share that we've had a challenge that most of you know about in Palo Alto. We had another youth death by suicide on the train tracks in town. And so it's a very sad time in our city. We are addressing it. I appointed an ad hoc last week to look at various safety measures, and we're, working with, all kinds of nonprofits in town to work on youth mental health and also with the county and things, but I just, ask for your, I don't know, just send us good vibes, any help, any resources, understanding, be nice to each other, be kind. It all matters. And so we are grappling with that, and I thought I should share that.
Really sorry to happen. Anyone else? No? I'd like to adjourn the meeting in honor of the lost
Summer.
young person, Summer. And on behalf of everyone here, I would like to offer our condolences to the family and to let us know what we can do together to support them and try to prevent whatever we possibly can. Deeply, deeply. That the meeting is adjourned at 9:01.
Great, good to see you again. Yeah.